All right, everyone, welcome back into another live edition of the Patriots Beat podcast here on the CLNS Media Network, presented by our wonderful friends over at Prize Picks, Game Time, and PXG. It is Brian Hines back as always with Alex Barth for a busy show today. We have the Patriots getting ready to go play the Tennessee Titans this weekend. We have the trade deadline less than a week away. We've all become way too familiar with the NFL's concussion protocol and all the steps and phases because of Drake Maye's activity. So we will get to it all. Then, of course, we have our Prize Picks lineup and maybe talk a little college football at the end of this bad boy. But we will start with the Titans, the 1-6 Titans, and Drake Maye going through that concussion protocol again. He's been out on the practice field, so that's positive. Kind of reading between the lines, right? We heard from Gerard Mayo yesterday. He said, Drake couldn't be out there for more than 30 minutes. So that would put him in kind of phase 3 where, you have to stay under that 30-minute threshold. But then we get out there today and he's out there for the media portion of the start of practice, which he wasn't yesterday. So it looks like he was ramping up a little bit. At least he didn't suffer a setback, right? But seems like he was ramping up a little bit. Looks like maybe he's in phase 4 now. So if this all goes well and maybe tomorrow he's cleared for full activity and then just has to get cleared by the independent kind of doctor and he's go time. So seems like it's been encouraging progress on the Drake Maye front. I don't know if that's how you look at it, and maybe trending in the direction of playing on Sunday. You don't want to declare anything because it's, again, concussions. They can be tricky. He can feel good and then wake up tomorrow and have signs or symptoms. But right now, what we've seen, what we've heard, even Gerard Mayo, just kind of overall tone of the whole thing doesn't seem like they're that concerned that he might miss the game Sunday, and seems like it's trending in a good direction.
Yeah, look, a lot of the times when you get to this point, the question is not whether or not the player will be cleared. It's even once they're cleared, did they get enough practice time in during the week to be able to play? Like, because you can't just not be concussed. Like, you sort of have to know what you're doing, what the game plan is and all that. And I feel like that gets lost sometimes in these situations. Now, the good news is because of a unique quirk in the concussion protocol for quarterbacks, assuming he was in phase 4 today, which, like you said, reading between the lines, it seems like he was. I'm not reporting that. I don't know that for sure. But reading between the lines, assuming he was in phase 4 today. So phase 4 is phase 3, like you said, 30-minute practice. Phase 4, full practice, non-contact. Phase 5, full practice, uninhibited. All practices for quarterbacks are non-contact. So essentially, Drake Maye in phase 4 can still go through what for him is a regular practice day. Doesn't mean he did, but he can. And if he did that, and then tomorrow he's in phase 5, which would again be a full practice day. Well, now he was out there for half an hour on Wednesday, which is they probably crammed, right, in that half an hour. And then full day Thursday, full day Friday. That might be enough. Like, I don't know what their bar is, but that's a good amount of practice time. Most of the time, you're the guy who's dealing with like a sore ankle, right? And he practiced that much. Assuming the ankle is good, he'd play. Now, this is obviously different, right? We're talking about brain injury. That's different. But if it comes down to whether or not he's prepared enough, like if he does get cleared and it comes down to whether or not he's prepared enough, I think he has a shot to be prepared enough. I think he does. That's not me saying he's going to play. But that's like the potential's there. I at the beginning of the week, I thought it was crazy. Just you don't see players play the week after concussion.
Yep.
You just never see it, especially, in the wake of all the Tua stuff and it being another quarterback. Is the league going to be extra careful? It feels like it's on the table, doesn't it?
Definitely. Yeah. Especially because he was out there today from the start, which again, like when we go out there on Wednesday and Gerard says he can't practice more than 30 minutes, we go out for stretching and we got the first 2 periods and he wasn't out there, which I guess if you're limited to 30 minutes, you probably want him in team periods, right? So they might have been waiting him for that. So now he gets a Thursday, a full practice, it appears, because he was out there from the start, which was a change. So it seems like maybe he's trending in that way. And I was trying to find the quote. Didn't Gerard even say like he'd be pretty comfortable, and this might just be some coach speak too, but like he'd be pretty comfortable with Drake starting, even if he didn't log, like,
yeah,
enough.
he didn't specifically say this week. I interpreted that more to mean they didn't expect Drake to like fall behind when he was hurt.
Okay.
I thought about that quote too, but I like you said, coach speak, I interpreted that more as like, you get a bad concussion, like you can't come into the facility, you're at home, lights off, right? I interpreted that more as like, no, he'll be around for the day-to-day, which he has been. We've seen that. I interpreted it more as that.
All right. That's fair. Yeah, I was trying to find the quote, but I couldn't find
I have it. Hang on. I can pull it up pretty quickly.
Was it Wednesday?
It was Wednesday. Yeah, I wrote about it on Wednesday. I remember pulling it specifically. Give me a second to find it, but I know I have it.
So yeah, it looked like, again, yesterday with the 30-minute thing, it was phase 3. Today, it looks like we're not hard reporting here, but it looks like he was upgraded to phase 4. And if everything goes clear, then he can go into phase 5, which is full football activity, full contact, which for a quarterback, there's no contact anyway in practice.
So
and then he gets cleared by the club physician and then the independent neuro doctor. But
here's the quote from Maye. I do have confidence that if the league says he's ready to play, that he will be able to go out there and operate. I feel very comfortable putting Jacoby Brissett in there as he's a professional and always stays ready, as you could see from the last game. So, like, I think essentially what that means, like, I read that as like, basically, like, they weren't ruling it out. They weren't ruling it out. I don't think it was them saying, like, this is the plan. I didn't read it like that, but, like, as of Wednesday, it was an option, which it, based on the timeline, certainly seems like.
Yep. So it looks like maybe some positive news there. I do want to ask you, because I've seen this kind of topic, and Alex Van Pelt even mentioned it a little bit today, talking about Drake as a scrambler, we've talked a lot about getting him involved in the design quarterback run game, which he says, you see him take some hits and he's so good as a scrambler. Maybe we don't want to be incorporating that a lot. But in specific important situations, he said, like a 4th and 1 or a game on the line, you go back to the preseason game where they're on the goal line and he can score a touchdown, like important situations, they might bring that out. Do you like that kind of game plan with him going forward? We're like, hey, he's gonna, and to be clear, they said they weren't going to really harness in his scrambling ability. They know that's such a big part of his game. You see through 2.5 starts how big his legs are to his game. That's part of the reason you drafted him at number 3. So I agree with them. But do you agree with the plan? Maybe don't run him as much in the design quarterback run game because he can make plays as a scrambler and you want to kind of protect him a little bit.
So I would do a little bit just to have that there for something for the defense to be thinking about, especially when the run game's struggling. But overall, I like the approach. Don't subject the kid to unnecessary hits. Like, that makes all the sense in the world. And that's not to say he's not going to get hit, but he's going to scramble. Those hits are going to be there. Manage it. This is something I always talk about with Josh Allen, which is one of my criticisms, not about you. Don't smirk, because this is part of the point that nobody understands this take. It's not about Josh Allen. It's about the Bills. I feel like the Bills and their fans, there's like this belief that if Josh Allen runs too much, he gets banged up by the end of the year, he's useless. If he doesn't run enough, the offense sucks. And
we do have that is like a national debate every year, I feel. Usually right around November, it's like, should they run Josh Allen more to win games or save it to the playoffs? So that's fair.
And I feel like that Bills fans believe there's this magical equilibrium that, like, if they find like X number of runs, they'll win the Super Bowl. I don't know that exists. I don't know that equilibrium exists. Personally, I would rather play on the side of, let's not get the crap beat out of the kid, right? But, this is now a conversation Patriots fans are going to have. Where is that equilibrium? But I think the Bills, for a few years, have aired more. At the beginning of the year, every year, I feel like we hear them say, no, we're not going to run Josh as much this year. We learned our lesson. And then it's like, all right, this time of year, and the run game sucks, and suddenly Josh Allen's running 15 times a game. And then in December, now it's his elbow or it's his shoulder or it's his knee or whatever, right? And he's not the same because they had to put too much on him. Ideally, you build up a roster where he doesn't need to do it because you have other playmakers, but we'll get there. That's a few years away for the Patriots, and apparently never going to happen for the Bills because they've never really shown any interest in it. But
when it comes to, they're running James Cook more this year, aren't they?
How's that going?
I mean, they're 6-2. He's got 7 touchdowns. The averaging.
They have been better on the ground this year. I'll give them that. They haven't been better on the ground. The point, all right. So,
but
like
just,
the point with Drake
just
Maye,
wait on it because they'll still probably bills that
right?
thing.
They'll still
up
run him into the ground, right? The point being, like with Drake Maye, I don't mind erring on the side of let's have him making plays with his arms more than his legs, so he doesn't take a ton of unnecessary shots. Now, I'd run him a little bit. Again, just it gives the defense something to think about. And let's, also, and Alex Van Pelt said today, this was a coaching point. You got to protect yourself better when you're in the open field as a quarterback, right? Either slide head first, which I know sounds dangerous, but that essentially means just crumple up, give yourself up, be aware of your surroundings, because people say, oh, it's a dirty hit. Like, that's not on him for not himself. There's going to be people taking shots at you if you're playing quarterback, and they're not all going to be clean. And part of protecting yourself as a quarterback, it's just as much knowing what to do to avoid the dirty hits as it is to avoid the clean ones, if not more so. Right? Tom Brady at the end of his career talked about how he became very careful about where he put his feet in the pocket, not just while he was back there waiting to throw, but after he threw the ball, to make sure that nobody was going to grab his ankles or he wasn't going to step on anybody or anything, like that kind of thing. So work on the kid with that, but I don't mind them limiting the running overall. I'm actually okay with that. Like, let the kid be quarterback. Let him be a quarterback, and the running is just a bonus, as opposed to what's been the strategy. And I keep picking on the Bills because that's been the comp, but the Panthers ran into this with Cam Newton. The Chiefs mostly avoided it with Mahomes. They were pretty good about it, but he's also not like as big. But like the Ravens with Lamar have gone through this. Like, it should be, I'm going to look to throw, and if it's not there, then I'll take off. Whereas you don't want it to become taking off becomes the first thought. And some of that also comes with like better blocking, trusting your wide receivers to catch the football, which might be difficult right now. But you don't want that to become such an immediate instinct, because that's how he's going to get hurt.
Yep. And you said, like, just play quarterback first. He's been impressive as a quarterback, right? Like, he's been impressive as a thrower, so it's not something he has to do. I kind of agree with you. Don't make him, have to face the hits, as Van Pelt says.
Right.
Like, there's going to be key spots where it is a game changer. That's such a big part of his game, and you can take advantage of it there. So, and I'll also say, like, I think he has done a relatively good job protecting himself. Like, he generally does try to get out of bounds or slide. That one was a little funky where he like breaks 2 tackles and then he goes down, and maybe that's a spot where Van Pelt said today, as you just said, go head first, go down that way, because guys are going to be coming from behind you. So I do generally think he's done a good job protecting himself. I mean, we went through his injury history last show, and it was only like 2 ankle injuries. So
he's been pretty good. I mean, there's room to get better. Like, it's not Jane Daniels. Remember, this was the big knock on Jane Daniels, was that he
had the whole highlight video of just taking
him just like jumping into defenders. So it's not that, but it's the NFL. Guys are bigger, faster, stronger. There's an adjustment, and you kind of hope that this one, learning experience, and you learn from it. You take that moving forward. That when I say like learn to protect himself, that's what I'm talking about. It's just like, they're guys are going to be coming at you late. They're going to be coming at you from behind. Just like be cognizant of that. And if it's the Super Bowl, go for the extra yard by all means. Week 8 against the Jets in the first quarter, you can get down.
Good.
Like, get down. Yeah, exactly.
Get the first down, get down, whatever. So, so again, looks like maybe he's progressing in a positive way to play this Sunday. If you want to look at the Titans, if he does play, maybe one of the more complicated defenses he's played. They have some talent on the defense. The scoring as a whole hasn't been great, probably because of that Detroit game last week, which was kind of fluky. They gave up 50 points, but Detroit started like 6 drives inside their own 30. They gave up some
a lot of short fields.
So it was kind of a funky score based off how you look at it. But just looking at Maye, if he does start here, what would you like to see from him? And again, against a little more complex schematic defense that maybe he's seen through his first 3 games.
just limiting the turnovers or the turnover-worthy plays. It didn't turn the ball over against Jacksonville, but had a couple that probably could have been. I think that's still the biggest thing I'm monitoring. And then the sprays. Like, it's kind of the same. I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but it's kind of the same things at this point, right? Just cut down on the turnovers, cut down on the wild throws. Besides that, he's looked pretty good. And you mentioned the talent on this Titans defense. You can get a really good look at it if you go look at their injury report, because they're all on there. So if they're really banged up, like, go out and assert yourself. Right, third overall pick against a bunch of backups. Make it look like that, despite what's around you.
Yep, 2 long injury reports from both teams this week. It's one of those.
It's that time of year.
Yep, getting into it. But yeah, you mentioned turnover-worthy plays, sprays. Like, I guess it's encouraging that it's just the same. Well, I don't know. Would you say it's encouraging that through 3 starts, it's the same errors that you'd like to see him correct, or?
Yes and no.
You obviously like him to correct that, but if there's going to be errors as a rookie, you feel like it would rather be the occasional spray than his eyes are in the complete wrong place. He's taken off way too early, stuff like that, So maybe it's a positive, but also how many times could these same errors stack up before you kind of start to get worried about it?
I think the bigger thing for me at this point is you're going to start, and maybe not this week. This is more like when we get closer to Thanksgiving. You're going to start, teams are going to have tape on them, and the tendencies are going to be there. And you're going to know, like, left, right, deep, short, right. What does he want to do? That's when I'm going to look more at, like, okay, how teams are going to start having answers for him. Right now, you're just kind of playing him straight up because you're essentially just going off what he did in college in a very different offense. And you see a lot of quarterbacks come out of the gate strong. And then once there's some tape, right, we had that whole string of backups last year for like every week. There was, whether it was Josh Dobbs, whether it was Tommy DeVito, whoever it was, there was that whole run. And this is what happened. They kind of go off for 2 or 3 weeks because nobody really knew what to expect. All right, here's their tendencies. Let's create a real game plan. And boom, they're shutting them down. And I'm not saying that's going to happen to Drake Maye, but it is going to get tougher the more tape he puts out there. And that's the next big checkbox for me, is like, once teams really are starting to truly game plan for him, which again, I think will happen probably later this year. Again, talking closer to Thanksgiving, that's when I want to see really how he responds and how he makes adjustments. Right now, just get your feet wet, get comfortable. And that's what he's doing. And be comfortable so that by the time those adjustments start to come, you're able to handle more and handle some adjustments.
Yep. All right. Well, there's your Drake Maye opening, 20 minutes, almost 20 minutes on Drake Maye. So let's move on to, as usual, but let's move on to the rest of the offense very quickly. Before we do that, Prize Picks, you can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You just make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Barth and I will submit our Patriots lineup every game day. We'll do it at the end of today's show, so make sure you stay tuned to that. And they also have real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, so you had Drake Maye in your lineup, we did last week, Prize Picks will keep your lineup live once he leaves in the first half and does not come back. So download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's Prize Picks, code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup on Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, let's talk some wide receivers. You mentioned the drop issue. We talked a lot about that after the game on Monday. 4 drops last week, a couple other passes even going off guys' hands, but not technically drops. Jalen Polk was upgraded to a full participant in practice. So how do you see him working back into the rotation? Do we see more or any Javon Baker this week? How are you looking at this wide receiver group against the Titans on Sunday?
Well, first off, like, you know me, I'm kind of at the point now where I'd like to see Javon Baker. And I know it's been a rough couple. He struggled at the end of camp. He had the hiccups, as Mike Reese reported, in London. Put him on the field. Put him on the field. Let's see. Right. I play the kids. Like, that's where I'm at. Play the kids. And I would ease Jalen Polk back in. I wouldn't put him back in the role he had. Again, your top 3 receivers should be Douglas, Bourne, Booty. Like, those are your 3 best guys right now. But Get Baker in there, 20-25%. Polk in there, 20-25%. I don't need to see KJ Osborne. I don't need to see Tyquan Thornton. Honestly, keep him inactive so you can trade them. Like, both those guys should be gone on Tuesday because you just need to free up the reps. They signed a wide receiver off to the practice squad the other day. I think some of that, a guy with some NFL experience, played for the Dolphins briefly, was at Ole Miss. Like, all right, so you have some emergency depth there if you really need it. They have John Giles as well. I don't need to see Tyquan Thornton. I don't need to see KJ Osborne. I'm good. Let the kids play. And then Bourne and Douglas, obviously, just being at the top of the depth chart, should play.
Yep. Tyquan also added to the injury report today with an ankle injury. So, yeah, maybe just don't even risk that inactive if you're trying to trade him. There was the report that they were getting some calls on him and Osborne. So it seems like maybe some movement there at the wide receiver position. We can talk about that too in a bit. But yeah, I'm with you. I want to see Javon Baker. I think it's time. Again, Gerard said he's an explosive guy with the ball in his hand. They started putting him on kick returns, but you need something else in that wide receiver room, especially, an X, the guy who can play the backside that we've talked about so much. And that's your body type. That's your skill set there. So let's see what he can do. Good fit with Drake Maye. We've also talked about that a lot. So if Drake plays, maybe get that connection going. And then, yeah, just Polk, it was a concussion for him, but he maybe just sitting a week and watching, going to the 9th floor. I don't know if he went to the lighthouse or anything, but just sitting and watching for a week, see how he bounces back, and maybe he can get back on track and end the year strong. That would be really encouraging out of your 2nd-round pick receiver there. But Booty, Bourne, Douglas, your top 3, and then let's see the kids. Let's get them involved a little bit and see if they can get bigger roles to end the year. I'm with you on that one. So can they run the ball this week? Can they run the ball against the Titans? Not a great run defense, but they do have Jeffrey Simmons and T'Vondre Sweat. So tough. T'Vondre Sweat was a guy we talked a lot about in the draft. He was still on the injury report today, right? Yeah.
Yes.
He was a DNP again today with a hip injury. So we'll see T'Vondre Sweat's status. Jeffrey Simmons is full go. So he'll be in the middle there. So do you think they can finally get out of the negative yards before contact and maybe try to get some positive momentum on the ground this week?
Oh, look, they still have Jeffrey Simmons. They have some other guys up front. It's going to be a real test for that Patriots interior offensive line. Good players up there. So hopefully, but I thought Ramondre Stevenson coming back would fix it, and so far that hasn't. And if you have to sacrifice your run blocking so the pass blocking is better, which it feels like is kind of what has happened, I think at this point with a rookie quarterback, I'm willing to make that sacrifice, but this is a tough week to start running to figure out running the ball. Titans don't do much well. They do have the personnel to stop the run.
Yep. Especially if it is Jacoby, you got to be able to run the ball because we've seen Drake definitely able to generate more explosive plays. Jacoby did have some in that 2-minute drive at the end of the game against the Jets, but as we saw early in the year, they're few and far between with him under center. So you got to get back to running the ball, and they were better running the ball with Jacoby. So maybe that alters something in the offensive line, but yeah, hopefully they can get back to the run game there. So anything else offensive related? Well, we're still kind of iffy on the offensive line. Vidarian Lowe's been a DNP Wednesday, limited today as he works back through some things. Layden Robinson did return. So I would imagine if Lowe can't go, it's Trey Jacobs back to the left, Mike Onwenu at right tackle, Layden Robinson at right guard. But if Lowe goes, maybe we get a back-to-back offensive line combination, which would be continuing that continuity. So anything there or just anything else on the offense that you're watching against the Titans here?
I just like that there's some continuity with the offensive line. I think that makes a difference. I think you're seeing it. I think that's where some of this improvement is coming from, just guys playing together. So I know some people might want Layden Robinson back in the lineup. Stick with the group you have until they give you a reason not to. That's where I'm at.
Yep. All right. Patriots defense against the Titans. We don't know who Tennessee is playing at quarterback because Will Levis is still on the injury report. He's been limited, with a shoulder injury. So it's going to be either him or Mason Rudolph. It shouldn't change much, right? Does it change much for you? Who's back there at quarterback for the Titans?
Not really. I'd like to get a Will Levis meme It's pretty much as far as I'll go on that.
That's like Rudolph's probably a little more consistent, a little better underneath. Levis is a little
Not as
more of that
athletic.
gunslinger. He'll throw it deep. He'll gift you a turnover or two really bad turnovers. He'll get memed to death. So, yeah, we'll see who's under there for quarterback. But we talked a lot. Just they made some progress against the Jets. It still wasn't great against the run. The tackling was better, but just keep building there. You imagine whatever quarterback it's in, they're going to want to live with Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard in the backfield. So just keep building there. I kind of like their Jets game plan of just kind of, as Devon Gottschall said, just cut the cute shit out, and they got back to the basics. But really, it felt like throughout the whole defense, they just got kind of back to the basics. Like I just kind of like to see that, stop the run. I'm not too worried about Calvin Ridley if you put Christian Gonzalez on him. So almost just a repeat performance of last week, but you got to continue that, keep the ball rolling, and build on that.
I'll even take it one step further. Like maybe the biggest departure, big picture from the Belichick defense is they're not creating turnovers right now. They're not doing it. And there's been a lot of moments to call for it that they're not, creating turnovers. This Titans team, trick or treat, right? Happy Halloween. They want to give away the football. That's who they are. And yes, that's the second time today I've used that line. I want to see the Patriots come out of this game with multiple turnovers. And maybe these Titans ones will be easy, and you're not going to play the Titans every week, and it's not going to be as easy against the Bears. But maybe just getting one kind of jumpstart something. When's the last time they had a turnover?
Ooh,
it's been a few weeks, right? Feels like it's been. They haven't had a turnover since the Houston game.
What even was that? They didn't get an interception that game, did they?
I don't remember.
They say they come in. They say it's like a snowball effect with turnovers. You always hear them say that. Once you get one, they kind of come in bunches.
This is bugging me now.
But
and then because I remember they had the garbage time interception against the Niners.
Yeah, it was
Jabril Peppers.
Was it last week or Jacksonville that Jalen Hawkins dropped the interception? Remember he hit him like right in the chest?
Last week.
I wanted to say last week, yeah. But
what was the turnover against the Texans?
Was it a special teams turn?
Did Stroud throw an interception?
I don't think so. Against the it wasn't. They didn't get any pass rush, so it wasn't a strip sack.
This is giving Marcus Jones an intercept. Did Marcus Jones pick off?
Oh, it was the tip, the Mapu tip.
Oh, that's right.
That Jones intercepted. That was their last one.
So again, clearly, not a ton of turnovers.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. Go out, get a turnover. Like, get this thing going. A big part of this defense is creating turnovers. It's always been the identity of this defense. How many times under Belichick was it, yep, here comes the turnover. Like, this is where they're going to turn the game. You could say your watch to it. That's supposed to be a big part of their identity defensively, is creating turnovers. They haven't done it this year, especially not recently. The Titans are among the worst turnover teams in the league. Make it count. The Titans have turned the ball over 16 times. They are dead. How about this? The Titans are dead last in turnovers, offensively and defensively. They've given the ball away 16 times. They've only taken it away 3.
And I know from our punters league, they've given up 2 blocked punts because Ryan Stonehouse is dead last. Even though he's one of the best punters in the league, he's usually is. He's dead last in our punters league in points because he keeps getting punts blocked. Which we'll talk about their special teams. Rough week last week, but get a turnover again. That's especially if it's a Jacoby Brissett game. You're gonna need some plays on defense, on special teams. Get a turnover. That would go a long way there. So especially if it's Will Levis, probably makes the odds a little more likely. So that would be big. You have any? Give us a prediction. Come on, who's getting the turnover if there is one?
Who's getting a turnover if there is one? Like who on the Patriots forced it?
Yeah.
Gonzalez.
Okay. I was going to say him. Locks down Calvin Ridley.
Okay. Yeah.
So maybe that, I don't know if they have Christian Gonzalez on Prize Picks, but we'll have to do that. So
We'll have to take a look.
Yeah, turnovers. We'll see Titans quarterback, but just kind of keep it simple as you did against the Jets. Get back to the basics. I would trust the secondary and man like he did against the Jets. Gonzalez on Ridley. Not too concerned about their other guys. So we'll see there. So anything else on defense, or we can lump in special teams because we kind of talked about that. They gave up a ton of explosive returns against Detroit last week. Two punt return touchdowns and another long return. So bad special teams unit. We've seen the Patriots kind of be up and down with, giving up returns, but Marcus Jones makes some plays. So anything you're looking at there, or anything to wrap up defense?
So I just on special teams, I just talked to Justin Mello, covers covers Titans for a number of different sources. I'll have that up later on 985sports.com. And he said that so the Titans had 2 punts blocked in the first 2 weeks.
Yep.
And their philosophy since has basically been, well, we're going to leave more guys back to protect the punter so we don't get it blocked again. But the problem with that, obviously, is they're not sending like the full, I guess it's really ugly, like really ugly.
Well,
there.
Detroit had a 90-yard punt return touchdown, 64-yard punt return, and then a 72-yard kickoff return. So all against the Titans last week. So that is very ugly.
So there should be a chance to create some plays in the kicking game.
Yep. Yeah, take advantage of it. And we'll see Javon Baker. Maybe that's where he gets an opportunity.
I think he's more of a kick returner and a punt returner. I think it's still going to be Marcus Jones.
Well, I was saying because the Lions had a big kick return too.
Oh, so kick return. Yeah.
So maybe you can get something going with him there. And then Marcus Jones obviously will handle the punt return duty. So yeah, make a play on defense, make a play on special teams, get something cooking going on there. So that's Titans. Again, 1-6 versus 2-6. Not too much to go with there, but anything else to kind of wrap this one up, or we can talk a little trade deadline and then get into college football and everything else to wrap up the show?
No, I think that's pretty much it on Patriots Titans.
All right. So before we move on, I got to talk to you guys about Game Time. Football season is in full force. It's also basketball is kicked off, hockey is kicked off, and we get all of our tickets on the Game Time app. And they have a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes it getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier because it filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. If you are in Nashville this weekend, great trip. I'm jealous. I'm not going, unfortunately, but let's see. $67 is the cheapest get-in price on Game Time. Oh, $64 is the cheapest get-in price on Game Time right now. You can also upgrade to Game Time Picks and go, look at that, 5th row, corner of the end zone, $124 in Nissan Stadium to watch the Titans and Patriots play on Game Time. So head to Game Time for their lowest price guaranteed and other in-app purchases and promotions such as seat views, all-in pricing, and of course Game Time Picks, which makes it even easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and all your tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. All right. So we did a little trade deadline talk. It's coming up. It's November 5th, I believe, next Tuesday. Patriots already got started with Joshua Uche, trading him to Kansas City. But there was also a report from Josina Anderson the other night that they were monitoring the trade market for wide receivers, offensive tackles, and defensive tackles as a way to perhaps add talent. I don't know if you want to call it buying, but adding some talent. So is that a move for a 2-6 team not the most conventional path, but would you be up for that if obviously the deal is right and the player is right and the compensation and everything? Were you surprised by that report? And do you think that's a good way to kind of approach this deadline of maybe if you find talent that's worthwhile, go out there and get it?
I mean, I think it's a good approach. Just right, especially right now, like it's a buyer's market. That Deontay Johnson trade's insane.
That was
He went
crazy.
for nothing. And I thought the Joshua Uche return was low. I still think it's a little low, but you know, when you see what guys are getting traded for, yeah, if you can get a player that's going to help you in the long term, they're not tanking anymore, right? If you can get a player that's going to help you in the long term, I'm all for it. Now, is that guy out there? That's a little bit tougher. Obviously, there's the T. Higgins of it, although the Athletic has reported the Bengals aren't going to trade him. You know, I was kind of doing some research over the weekend. Baron Browning in Denver is a guy that's rumored to potentially be moved. I think the most likely position you're going to get if you do this is edge, you know, a pass rusher. So do you go and get Baron Browning? Chase Young could be an option. Obviously, it hasn't worked out for him in New Orleans. He moved at the deadline last year for a third. So he's taking a step back. He's another year older. I'd probably do a fourth for Chase Young if I'm the Patriots, assuming that, you know, you're going to sign him to an extension. I don't know that like the second for Montez Sweat is there, but I like that they're looking to add talent consistently.
That's the one that the popular kind of comparison, which was last year, Bears were 2-6 and they trade a second round pick at the deadline to get Montez Sweat. I think he's 26, 27. Then they give him a couple days later, they give him a big 4-year extension. And now he's here. He's their best pass rusher. They have a rookie quarterback. They're 4-3. They're, competing for the playoffs. That's kind of your comparison, right? If you're
right,
like they need talent. And if you can, again, you're not, as you said, you're not tanking. You have the quarterback. So winning games isn't a bad thing at this point. So if you can go out and get talent that's going to be here for the long haul, even if they are a UFA and now you have a leg up to re-sign these guys, work an extension, and again, get a guy who will be here for the long haul, I think it's a worthwhile investment, especially I'm not trading the first round pick. I'm hesitant on trading your second round pick. Like when the Bears,
it's got to be
Bears,
a blockbuster.
They had the luxury of having like the 2 first round picks last year, so they could kind of do that. But
right,
would you do like? Would it have to be like T. Higgins to get you to move that second round pick or something like that?
Even there, just because of his injury history, like I still might do it, but I have to think about it. I'm more thinking like, surprise, surprise, the name I'm going to bring up, DK Metcalf. Because Seattle's in a little bit of a free fall right now.
Falling apart a little bit, yeah.
Somebody tweeted something the other day about it, and somebody tagged me and was like, it was about like that, the Josina Anderson tweet, and was like, if
it's DK time.
If DK ends up a Patriot, they're like Alex Barth is going to look like something, whatever. Like I need it to happen, Brian. I need it to happen. Not just because, I mean, one, they get a good player, which would be excellent. Also, just I might have to be done giving takes after that because I've had this.
You would have nailed it
a year now. Yeah, it's him being the guy.
And I was talking to Evan about it.
I remember when people were telling me that Brandon Ayuk was better than DK Metcalf. So.
Evan's on like the opposite end of the spectrum. I was talking to him about it last week, I think, in the locker room, and he was calling you crazy because he's like, they're not moving.
He hates fun, and DK Metcalf would be fun. So that's on him.
But yeah, the second round pick, I'm definitely hesitant on moving that too because you assume that's the top 40 pick. But you have 2/3. You have one from the Matthew Judon trade. If you could go out and get a guy who, you're confident that'll be here for a couple of years. And can help you win some games, I'm absolutely for that. So, or maybe even, some of the lesser names, like you have 3 7th rounders. I don't know if you could go get, Darius Slayton has been a name that people have thrown out there. Some of those edge rushers, just to get a veteran at a kind of a position of need to maybe settle something down. I would love to just play Javon Baker, but if they're hesitant to do that, just Darius Slayton could be a guy who just fits the X mold and then slots the other guys into a better position. So I'm for adding talent. They obviously need talent. Go out and get some if the opportunity presents itself. On the other end of the spectrum, anyone you think could join Joshua Uche and kind of be shipped out of here. We know the popular names, KJ Osborne, Tyquan Thornton, Jonathan Jones, Kendrick Bourne, Devon Godshaw's name has even come up. Do you think any moves will actually be made to ship anyone out of here by next Tuesday?
I mean, I think you got to move at least one of Osborne or Thornton, if not both. There's just too many players in that room, too many bodies, too many guys you got to get reps. And, are guys going to be disgruntled not playing? One of those two guys. And if they are, that's not great. You just got to open up snaps. So one, if not both, the receivers move. I don't think you're going to see any of the veterans move. Uche was the big one. Obviously, I'm surprised they did as early as they did. I think maybe if they waited, they could have gotten a little bit more just, teams going to their second, third option. But yeah, I'd expect one of those receivers to move, if not both of them.
Yep. I would definitely try to move at least one of them. I'm not, I've seen a lot of Jonathan Jones, Kendrick Bourne. I'm not so much in favor of trading those guys just because you have such a young team. You're trying to build this culture, right? You need some veterans in there. Now, if someone wants to get crazy and give you a third round pick for one of those guys, that's when you might have to say, okay, that outweighs the locker room presence. But, you're seeing a 6th round pick for Jonathan Jones. Like, I'm good. I think what he brings to you off the field outweighs a 6th round pick right now.
Right. Somebody's got to get dumb for me to trade one of those guys. I'm not saying they're untouchable. Like 3rd round pick, by all means. Yeah. But the Jonathan Jones leadership, Kendrick Bourne's leadership worth more than a
late round draft pick. Yeah. Especially, again, you have 3 7th rounders. You trade KJ Osborne or Tyquan, you might get another 6th, 7th rounder. Like, how many of these late round picks do you need?
Well,
I'm hoping they trade some of them so we don't have to cover 6th, 7th round draft picks. But
mock
draft season would be more fun.
Those mock drafts get long, Brian. We'll be able to move all over the board. And also, like, again, it's a buyer's market right now, so you're not going to get a ton for those guys. You mentioned all those 7th round picks, like that's key. I would rather move at this point KJ Osborne into 7th for a 6th.
Yep.
Than just like KJ Osborne for a 7th or something like that. I'd be looking at pick swap. Although I wonder if maybe that's what went into getting the 2026 pick for Joshua Uche, was just spread those picks out a little bit.
Yep. All right. So that's your trade deadline preview. Again, that's not till Tuesday. So we'll probably talk about it a little bit on Monday again, if there's any updates after the game. So we'll see what happens. But that's Pats Titans. That is trade deadline. I just pulled up prize picks through our lineup. Unfortunately, I think the quarterback situation is throwing a wrench in everything because there are no options for lineups right now. All it is Drake Maye more than pass touchdowns and interceptions. So we might have to pivot on the lineup. We'll just tweet it out. We'll put something together off air and we'll tweet it out on Sunday and let you guys know to follow the lineup there. But this one. Oh, no, not this one. Speaking back to the trades, what are your thoughts on Chris Olave? This is probably an off-season move, but
are they moving him? I haven't seen anything about that. I mean, good player.
But there hasn't been any rumors, but like this is something where I think he kind of falls in that, he'll need, it's the 5th-year option. It's the year before the 5th-year option, so he'll need to get paid. And the Saints are just in such cap hell. Well, maybe they move him. I would love, I was watching the Thursday night game when they were getting blown out a couple weeks ago, and I was like, if you could do almost the DJ Moore Bears-Panthers trade, and this depends where the draft picks fall, but you get Chris Olave, so you maybe move back a couple picks and get Chris Olave, like that could be a dream scenario for the Pats this offseason. But I don't know. I just saw that and made me think of that take. I don't know if you like Chris Olave or not.
I do. I think, again, that's more of an off-season thing.
Yep. But interesting idea. I like the thought. So we'll wrap up instead of prize picks with our little college football talk. Let me show you. I was trying to pull up the slate. Anything good this weekend that's on your eye? I mean, Ohio State, Penn State at noon Saturday is the big one.
That's gonna be a fun smash mouth football game. It's not like the deepest week. Pitt, SMU, sneaky good game. It's a big game in the ACC. That could be fun. What else we got? Ole Miss, Arkansas. You should get some good scoring in that one. Honestly,
Oregon, Michigan's fallen off so much though.
yeah, I mean, I like watching Michigan lose, so that'll be fun. But
Yeah,
you got the cocktail party, Florida, Georgia, so they're doing renovations on the stadium in Jacksonville. So Florida and Georgia every year play in Jacksonville. It's one of the few like good neutral site games. I believe most rivalries should be played on campus, but they're doing renovations there. So for like 2 years, they can't play the game there. Logically, you play one game in Gainesville and you play one game in Athens, and awesome, this rivalry goes on campus. No, they're playing them in freaking Atlanta and Dallas. Like, and when I say Atlanta, I mean like Mercedes-Benz, like the Falcon. That's annoying, but cocktail party is always a great environment. Georgia might blow doors, but watch the first 10 minutes. Cool environment, fun game. Yeah, not too much exciting.
I know
in this one. So
is the I think
this is the first time I feel like the noon window has been terrible all year. I think this is the first time all year that like a good game has been at noon.
Yeah, we got the Ohio State Penn State game at noon.
Yeah. Northwestern Purdue, if you're into that sort of thing.
You weren't loving the Notre Dame Navy noon last week?
I did enjoy that for a little bit, but
for the first like 10 minutes when it was somewhat competitive. Hey, Notre Dame has more touchdowns at MetLife than the Jets and Giants combined this year, so they got that going for them. Tough one, but yeah, not a great slate, but those are always the ones that kind of surprise you and sneak up. But Ohio State, Penn State should be really fun. So keep an eye on that one. Any draft takes you have to get off your chest, or just college football takes in general before we log off?
Well, we'll get the first college football playoff rankings on Tuesday. So,
true.
I'm hesitant to get
big Tuesday.
Right? We're trade deadline, college football playoff. Is there anything else going on, Brian? I don't know, but
so.
I'm hesitant to get too far ahead of anything because, like last year, I was like, "Oh, I like these teams. I don't like these teams," and then there's like a chaos week, and then the playoff bracket came out. So I'm going to bite my tongue for now. I want to see the playoff bracket because also it's like all irrelevant once we get the bracket. I like they do the bracket late because it's been a long criticism of the AP poll that the initial poll, which has more to do with last year than this year, is like flawed. So I like that they wait. I want to see the bracket and then I'll react because then we really gear up for like this playoff push.
Yep. Should be good. But we will wrap it up there. Again, sorry we can't do our prize picks live. We'll tweet out a lineup. We can, though. It's been beautiful weather the past few days. So if you were lucky enough to get out to go play some golf, I'm jealous of you because we weren't. But when we do go out to play golf, we use our PXG Black Ops irons.
Yes, we do.
They help us hit the ball straighter, farther, not having to worry about hit every shot pure to make it good. All of that. So both Barth and I went over to PXG in Framingham to upgrade the clubs in our bags. We got to hit on the simulators. We both decided to go on the Black Ops irons, but they have plenty of new other irons that you can look at and hit to find the best club that fits your game. You go through the simulator again, you go through the TrackMan data, you get your distances, you get your club speeds, your ball speeds, your club face angles, all of that to help your golf game take it to the next level. And so if you want to upgrade your bag with PXG and take your game to a whole new level for a limited time, you can save $10 per club if you head over to pxg.com and use code CLNS. That's pxg.com, code CLNS to save $10 per club on your order. Again, pxg.com, code CLNS. I also got an email earlier. They have a 70% off warehouse sale right now, PXG. So maybe you can go get some, they say clubs, polos, headwear, bags, gloves, gear, apparel, accessories, and more. So go get your clubs and then go get some apparel as well on PXG and go play some golf while we have some nice weather. So we will wrap it up there. Again, Patriots at Titans on Sunday. We'll be back to break it down on Monday, talk about maybe a little bit more trade deadline as well. Hopefully Drake Maye is out there. We'll see practice tomorrow. Gerard Mayo speaks again tomorrow. So for updates, follow Alex on Twitter at RealAlexBarth. Head over to 985thesportshub.com for his written coverage. And you can follow me on Twitter at I am Brian Hines, and head over to patspulpit.com for our Patriots coverage there as well. And thanks everyone for tuning in with us tonight. Have a happy Halloween, and we will see you guys next week.